generations to come.
Welcome to another edition of the TDN Writers Room podcast, the post-Breeders' Cup edition. My name is Bill Finley. I'm a correspondent for the Thoroughbred Daily News, and I have a quick question for Randy Moss before we get into it. Where on earth did you get that awful outfit they put you on for the Halloween show on Friday? Boy, that was ugly, Randy.
It was Halloween. Mine was better than Ahmed Fareed and Jerry Bailey's. It's the same one I wore. I think it was 2017, the last time the Breeders' Cup was on Halloween at Del Mar. I've still got it. I got pants to go with it and a tie, believe it or not. I am Randy Moss. I'm Randy Moss, NBC Sports, trying to catch up on my sleep after Breeders' Cup week.
I want to know what you were wearing.
It really was more of a Day of the Dead, very, very gaudy suit jacket that we wore for one segment. And then later on, Nick Luck scared the horses in the paddock with his own version of a Halloween sports jacket.
All right. I missed that one. Okay. I'm Zoe Cabin with First Racing and First TV. I'm at sunny Keeneland. You'll see some wheelings in the background. There is a wall here, so I'm safe this time. And you know what? They just brought me some avocado toast. Look at this. They're walking around with drinks and all kinds of food. Does that not look delicious? When I got off the plane, there was a bluegrass band playing as the people coming back from Breeders' Cup jumped off the plane at Bluegrass Airport. They had Arthur Hancock's bluegrass band playing and all kinds of Keeneland goodies. It's actually very cool.
Bill, are you an avocado toast guy?
No, I'm not an avocado guy.
You're not? What's wrong with you?
I'm a guacamole guy, but not an avocado toast guy.
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, as we said, this will be our show wrapping up the Breeders' Cup. And we're going to go through first the two juvenile races on Friday run on the dirt, starting off with the juvenile fillies. And I add to what Randy's going to say later in the show, congratulations to West Point Thoroughbreds, the owner of Super Corridora. Pretty impressive winner by 3/4 of length over Explorer. Tommy Joe was a bad fifth. That was kind of surprising me. And I'm going to be guilty of red boarding here, but I'm a little kicking myself for not coming up with this horse. And John Sadler explained it afterwards. The horse's first two races weren't very good or weren't very fast. As soon as he put this filly around 2 turns, totally different horse, breaking her maiden. She backed that up in the Breeders' Cup, got an 84 buyer. We'll talk about the buyer numbers in the juvenile in just a second. But congratulations. And certainly she'll be the Eclipse Award-winning 2-year-old filly.
Yeah. Sadler always felt that being a daughter of gun runner, she would improve substantially around 2 turns, which she did dramatically. She broke her maiden by 8 lengths. Somewhat surprised, I think, Terry Finley and the West Point crew by suggesting that they run Super Corridora off a maiden race straight into the juvenile fillies. She became the first juvenile fillies winner ever to go straight from a maiden special weight into the race. I thought it was a good tactical ride by Hector Berrios to aggressively put her on the early lead, because as we saw Friday and Saturday, speed was good, especially the inside path of the dirt track was good. No excuses for Explorer. I mean, she tucked in right behind Super Corridora, got out when she needed to, just got outrun. A really strong effort by both horses.
Yes, it was a brilliant ride by Berrios because he was determined to get the lead, get over, and get the rail. And he put one in kind of a difficult position. Does one go really, really fast? Now, you're on a bob horse. If I'm riding a bob horse in a 2-year race, I'm going. Regardless of whatever happens, I'm going. And once ceded the lead. I'm not sure if that was a good move or a bad move on one's part, because the top 2 positions didn't change throughout the race. She went fast. She earned it. 22-2, 45-3, 110 flat, 136-2. Slowed down a little bit at the end, but Explorer was second best. But that race was won purely by Hector Berrios. He's brilliant on the turf coming from behind, but when he's loose on the lead, he is hella dangerous.
All right, we go next to the juvenile one, of course, by Ted Nafi by 1 length over long shot Mr. AP. Not an electrifying performance. Maybe we're setting the bar too high, but he got the job done. The time was relatively fast. 142.25, which was a second and a half faster than the Juvenile fillies, 143.71. Brant, the second choice in the race, I thought he ran third, but I thought he had absolutely no excuse. He got a comfortable lead and he couldn't hold off Ted Naffy, nor could he hold off the big long shot, Mr. AP. It'd be interesting to see what Ted Naffy develops next year. Son of Into Mischief, obviously Todd Pletcher, I would imagine, would take the Florida route to the Kentucky Derby. Let's hope he stays healthy. And we have a very good 2-year-old champion to look forward to next year.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. He was impressive. He deserved to win it. He was ridden forward by Johnny V, who knows him better than anyone. So he was much the best. Brant, I'm sure we'll probably see him, at least for now, going around one turn. The son of Gunrunner. He's bred for 2, but right now it looks like he'll be going around one turn. I thought Mr. AP, well done, Bill. That was a nice exacta for you.
Thank you.
He did not even come across my radar until I saw him in the paddock, and I kept looking around. I'm like, who's that horse? He never even occurred to me. And he was the best looking horse in the paddock. Beautiful job by Vladimir Serin. And a hot toddy. Yeah, I'll have a hot toddy. Hold on. Yes.
Hot tea with bourbon.
Hot tea with bourbon. Look at this. I just got brought a hot toddy. Thank you very much. Sorry, guys. Train of thought got skewed by the hot toddy I'm about to drink. This looks delicious. Cheers. Oh, let me see. Hold on.
All right. I've got really nothing more to add to that other than I might have to buy a vineyard to pay off Zoe from the bottles of wine that I'm owing her.
Bottles of wine? And how about... Yeah, horse for horse, right?
Yeah, we were horse for horse there.
What was your horse for horse bet there? Right?
It was. I made a way too early bet on Brant against Ted Naffy before the final preps. Anyway, I got nothing really to add to the Juvenile. You guys covered it. Let me skip real quickly through the other 2-year-old races. In the turf sprint, the American Cy-Fair beat the European Brussels, who might have been the best horse, broke slowly from the gate, which was a theme for the Europeans all weekend long. In the Juvenile fillies turf, the long shot exacta was European on European, Valentina and Pacific Mission, both of whom broke slowly from the gate. And then in the Juvenile turf, Stad from Coolmore didn't break either, but he managed to be much the best and win the race despite a wide trip anyway.
Yeah, he was certainly much the best. Back to Ned Toffee, his damn streak of luck was a supplement last night over at Fasig Tipton November. She sold for $6.2 million and topped the sale over there. So lots of people rubbing their hands with glee.
All right, let's move on now to the Saturday races. We kicked that off with the Filly and Mayor Sprint. In there, the winner was Splendora. But one of the stories was the scratches. And that was one of the stories of throughout the Breeders' Cup. I mean, you had some big ones in here, including Tamara and Sweet Azteca, completely changed the complexion of the race. I know some people that really like Splendora. They must be happy that they won, but disappointed that the price was just sliced into ribbons because of all the scratches in there. Hope Road was my pick. I really liked her in there. She didn't really do much. She ran third. I like the comment in the Equibase chart about Splendora engulfed leaders, Randy. That horse was pretty impressive.
Yeah, she was. It was the prototypical other Baffert horse that we see so often, right? I mean, I didn't like Sweet Azteca going in. I was hoping she would stay in there and elevate the price on Hope Road in particular. Curious strategy by Jose Ortiz to be up on the lead with Hope Road, but the fractions weren't supersonic in there, and I don't really think that was much of an excuse. Splendora was just the best horse. And Vava, a nice distant second place finish, but a nice second place finish and what might be her final career start. I know it was an emotional week for Cherie DeVoe saying goodbye to Vava, but the Splendora was just solidly the best horse.
She was much the best, got a terrific ride by Pratt, sat in the perfect position for Splendora. And, you know, no filly or mare has ever won the filly and mare sprint going wire to wire. There's never been a winner going wire to wire. So, you know, she just carried on the trend and came from off the pace. She was much the best. Vava is back here at Keeneland. She sells a little bit later today. She looks none the worse for wear. She looks terrific, as does Ricci, who came back from Del Mar as well to be sold here by Hillendale.
All right, we move on now to the turf sprint. A lot of stories in here. First of all, what a day for the ladies. 1-2 with Shisospicy, a 3-year-old filly over AG Bullet, a 5-year-old mare. So fillies 1-2 against the boys. Also, first ever Breeders' Cup win for our Gainesway guest of the week, Jose D'Angelo. We'll be hearing from him shortly. Shisospicy, she got the lead, but boy, they didn't make it easy on her. 21-3, 43-4. It didn't matter. She just kept on going, and was another win, but for an up-and-coming trainer who I think is probably going to pile up a bunch of Breeders' Cup winners. He's only 35 years old, got a long way to go in his career.
She was terrific. She's so spicy. Much the best in there. She was actually sold last night. She came on the plane as well. And More Play Racing, Rich Mendez, bought out the partnership of Qatar Racing for $5.2 million last night. And she'll get to stay in training. And I'm excited to see what she will do next year. She's just 3 years old. And it looks like sky's the limit for her. It really does.
I mean, even though she had been dominant in her turf sprints, I just totally underestimated exactly how good Shisospicy was. I mean, I said famous last words shortly before the start of the race. I couldn't believe that she and AG Bullet were the same price on the board. And then lo and behold, she just, destroys AG Bullet, who ran nicely to finish second. And by the way, it was the first winner ever, amazingly, for any horse that had ever run at Kentucky Downs. It was a Kentucky Downs exacta, actually, was Shisospicy and AT Bullet. Cottam, the personality-filled old man, rallied to finish third despite a slow break from the gate. But Shisospicy, man, she was really something special.
What kind of number did she run, Randy? Do you know?
I don't recall exactly, but it was like in the 105 ballpark.
Okay.
Yeah, 104, 105. It was by about 10 points, a new career high.
Wow.
All right, we'll be right back after this message from Keeneland.
I do want to remind you that the TDN Writers Room is brought to you by Keeneland, and that is exactly where I am. The Keeneland November sale is about to get underway in just about 2 hours here, right before we tape this segment. But first, before we talk about Keeneland, let's talk about the championship sale from last week. On Wednesday, a 25% interest in Bentornato was offered at Del Mar, going for $1 million to Michael Ivorone, who actually wore a shirt to the sale and the races. Now, Bentornato earned a big chunk of that back when the 4-year-old won the $2 million Breeders' Cup Sprint. Keeneland grads also winning on the big stage included Keeneland January Weanling graduate Shisospicy in the Turf Sprint, November Weanling graduate Nisos in the Dirt Mile. Boy, he was impressive. And September yearlings Ted Noffey, impressive as well, in the Juvenile, and Super Corridora in the Juvenile fillies. The Keeneland November sale continues through November the 11th and will be followed by the one-day November Horses of Racing Age sale on November the 12th. We'll be right back after this message from Keeneland.
Keeneland November is where futures take root and legacies pass from one hand to the next. In the ring, excitement builds. A glance, a nod, a bid. History changes in an instant, and the impact lasts a lifetime. The market is here. The global stage is here. Your moment is here. Keeneland November.
As always, the fastest horse of the week brought to you by the Fast Sires at WinStar Farm. The spotlight this week is on Audible, the Into Mischief stallion who impressively won the 2018 Holy Bull and Florida Derby. Later wound up his career with a good fifth in the Dubai World Cup. He's now a Breeders' Cup winning sire. The Breeders' Cup filly and mare sprint winner, Splendora, a daughter of Audible, becoming his first Breeders' Cup and Grade 1 winner. Audible is a top 5 third crop sire, and he will stand next year at WinStar for a fee of only $7,500. Not surprisingly, the fastest horse of the week, classic winner Forever Young, who put up that 111 Beyer speed figure in becoming Japan's first classic winner, Breeders' Cup classic winner, that is. He'll now be pointed for a defense of his Saudi Cup win earlier this year, and he could very well once again face Hong Kong superstar Romantic Warrior. That was quite a race in February earlier between the two. I think the best dirt race run anywhere in the world in 2025. Romantic Warrior will be an 8-year-old next year. He's currently recuperating from surgery back in May, but he's training very well. He'll run later this month. It is not an end to the career, fortunately, for Forever Young.
Welcome in now, the Gainesway guest of the week. It's none other than Jose D'Angelo, the hottest man at the Breeders' Cup with not just one, but two wins. And not just two wins, but two wins back to back. Jose, congratulations. Thanks for joining us on the TDN Writers Room podcast as the Gainesway guest of the week. A lot of Breeders' Cup stuff to talk about. But first, briefly, could you tell us a little bit about your career? What kind of trainer were you in Venezuela? Why'd you come to the United States? And did you ever expect to get off to this fast a start?
Thank you, Bill. Very happy to stay here today. I have a successful career in Venezuela. I came from a horseman family. I'm third generation. My grandfather, they found a magazine there. My uncles work on the same side. My father was trainer in Venezuela, a champion trainer. He won their 3 leading trainers. He won a lot of great ones over there. He and me, we have the own record, there you can be like eclipse trainer, like apprentice trainer and champion. So he won that and I won that too. So we're like the only father and son with that title. I won over there to the Clásico Simón Bolívar, it's like our Kentucky Derby or the Breeders' Cup Classic, like it's our biggest race. So, I just love the horses and horse racing. Like, I don't like sports and just horses. My goal was like emulate my father because I am his bigger fan. As soon as he retired of the horse racing there in 2007, and I got my title of trainer there on 2012. I won the Clásico Simón Bolívar on 2014. My leading trainer in 2018. So that's why I decided to move to USA, follow my father. He moved here, I think in 2015. So moved to USA, trying to follow my dreams and go for the big races here.
So let's talk about your Breeders' Cup horses here, Jose. First, Bentornato. I mean, I went back and looked at his workout tab, his career workout tab, and it looks to me you had him at Santa Anita at one point last year. It looked to me like maybe you were pointing him for the Malibu, and then something happened because he wasn't entered. So what was the timeline with what happened to him in California and getting him back in time for that one unbelievable prep at Churchill Downs before the Breeders' Cup?
Randy, the horse have many stories. I have to say thank you to his owners to trust me and follow my plans because 2 important things. The first one was before the last leg of the Stadium Series where he lost his undefeated career in 2 turns race. The owner came one morning to Ivan and he said, "Hey, Jose, the horse can go long." And I was sure not, but I was trying so bad, to stretch him long. I say, hey, I don't know. I say, but if he don't go long, I promise you the horse is going to be on the Breeders' Cup. And he said, you are joking. So the thing was like the horse have a hard 2-year-old and 3-year-old campaign. The horse ran all these races of the Florida Stallion Series, won in open company. The horse went to Saudi and ran third against Forever Young and Bucandamo. Later, we prepped him to the Charleston Ready Robert Hilton Memorial, 500,000. Gallant Bob, Breeders' Cup. So our plan was going to the Malibu. We chipped the horse there. But after the workout, he came back good. But the morning of the race, I saw him little sore and everything came from the hoof. So I scratched the horse this morning and everybody was flying to the race. And Luis Saez to the jockey. I scratched the horse. He can pass the vet. He can, he could run, but I feel like can be expensive. Like I can lose the horse on that race. Like probably, this race is gonna take more from him. So I decided to scratch the horse. After all the year, I put on the pet scan to see, if he have something, because I want to give a break to him. But sometimes the horses have things that you cannot see. I put on the pet scan. Thanks God, like everything was clear, clean, like no fractures, no chips, nothing. Just little bone bruising. That's normal about all his effort. So that's why we stopped the horse. But 2 months later, when he resumed training, he got a splint, and we have to stop him again. And as you know, like he's a big horse, like he can get heavy so easy. Was a long way where I have to put the horse on diet a little bit, change because like so heavy. If you see if you want to talk about his workout pattern, I worked on the tapira, on the synthetic to push him a little bit more before send to Saratoga, looking for better weather for him. Okay. The owner just say yes and follow my recommendations. We know that it's a tough game. Like nobody owns the truth because are sensitive animals that what you do on one horse probably not work on the other horses. So I told them we're gonna prep the horse for the Louisville Society, and after that we go straight to the Breeders' Cup. And they say, but this race is not win at your rim. I say, yes, you have to pay, but I promise you, like the horse gonna need these 7 weeks to recovery after the layoff, and I can train him in the way that I want for the Breeders' Cup. If you see what I did, like I push him to run I push him on Saratoga with hard workouts, strong workouts. 40. He worked one day 45 and change. Less than a minute when he worked the 5 minutes, the 5 furlongs. But when I prep him to the Breeders' Cup, I prep different, just maintenance. 50, include 50. Just I push it a little bit 15 days before the race with a company, but natural. No, I had never asked him, just by himself, whatever he wanted. That was the preparation with the horse, and that's why he took so long. He was training for like 6 months, but just going one step behind and up. That's why.
But you were very confident in his chances at the Breeders' Cup.
Yes, I was very confident on both my horses.
Jose, now he has gone through the sales ring, and one partner bought out the other. So More Play Racing bought out Qatar Racing for $5.2 million. What's next for him next year?
That's for Shisospicy. With Bentornato,
yes, okay.
both went to the rim. Mike Yavaron bought 25% of Bentornato, and More Play bought out Qatar on Shisospicy.
So how about the plans for both of them next year?
With Bentornato, the plan is going to Saudi, okay, to the spring race over there. We know that he likes the track. We know that is an easy horse to travel because he went last year and ran good. With Shisospicy, we are thinking she has many options. She's invited to Hong Kong. She have Saudi. She have Dubai. We have many races. I feel that you can stretch, that she can go more than 5 furlongs. She proved that on Kentucky Downs. So, she arrived today to the Banana Palmeros. We're going to give to her the time necessary to recover about this strong race that she ran. And she going to tell us where we are going. Now we don't have a plan, a plan 100% with her.
All right. Well, congratulations on getting not just 2 Breeders' Cup wins, but 2 of the more dominating performances at the Breeders' Cup back to back. I'm curious, when you made the move from Venezuela to the United States, how difficult was it to get a foothold in Florida, like with American owners as opposed to owners from Venezuela that already knew who you were?
That's a good question. When I came from Venezuela, like a lot of Venezuelan owners here, a lot of them called me and say, "Hey, Jose, you have a horse here as soon as you arrive." The truth, like I don't get so many horses from Venezuelans at my start. My first, just one horse from Venezuelan owner, and the other 2 horses was my friends from the university in Venezuela. All of them give to me like 3,000, and we claim 2 horses. So I started with that because nobody say that they offer to me that give me horses here. So I have to prove by my own and my friends from the university and the college claiming horses. Start working hard. I got Jesus' team. Like 6 months later, the horse put me on the map. I started meeting people, owners, and getting the support. Thanks God my father was here since 2015, and I was following my father. And looking, I was looking more into the American racing, the condition book, how he moved the horses to put on the claiming, the starter, the allowance. It's very hard to read the condition book here because you have so many conditions that no exist in my country. So I have to learn everything. And thanks God, everything worked perfect.
Jose, this might be just a start for you. I mean, you've only been in the country for a few years. This was your best year ever. 2 Breeders' Cup wins. Where can you take this? Where would you like to be 5 years from now?
Always, like I learned that come from the movie of Ruffian. I think you remember when I think Ruffian, like they have to euthanize the filly, and the next day the trainer have to wake up again and go to work like nothing happens. Like for sure was a emotional day and happy day, but like I learned like every day you have to work harder, no matter what, win or lose, just work harder, do your best. And the most important thing is learn, always open to learn, because here so many people have more years than you, more experience than you, no matter what, if they are successful or not, or they win more than you or not. Every horseman, when I say horseman, a walker, a groom, you have something to learn to, trainers, that's why I want to learn every day and try to do my best to run every horse at his top as his top level. Some trainers have a system. I feel like every horse is different. You cannot have a system. You have to adapt to the horse, not the horse adapts to you. And that's what I'm trying to do.
All right. So Bentornato is owned by Leon King Stable, and Shisospicy was owned by More Play and Qatar Racing. More Play's an American ownership group, correct?
Yes, they are Latins, but they are Americans. Yes.
Okay. How difficult is it for a trainer like yourself to come from Venezuela, with all the success you had in Venezuela, and get the endorsement of top-ranked American owners? Is that a big challenge? You speak very good English, so there's not a language barrier there.
No, but I learned English, and that's what we have now ChatGPT. But just meeting the people, showing up, going to Saratoga, Keeneland, was hard because nobody know me here. At least in Venezuela, I came from a family related with horses, and everything was easier. But I have to start from zero. I promise you, I never was like afraid or shy. I always, my head up and try to do my best. And I'm getting the best owners of the country now, giving to me opportunities to train horses for them. I'm so happy when enter a horse and my friends see like these big owners, they call me, hey, how'd you get them?
Winning 2 Breeders' Cup races will do it too. That's great.
I would say one of the biggest upsets of the Breeders' Cup was that Mike Ivorone actually showed up in the winner's circle with a shirt on. How did you talk them into dressing for him relatively conservatively?
Yeah, Mike, he showed interest on the horse like since 2 months ago. When he bought the horse, I was surprised because I know he liked the horse, but not so much. And what's funny, he lives I'm here in Palmeros, and he lives close to Palmeros because last year at the championship meet, I met him at the Wawa, the gas station, at Home Depot, at First Watch. So say, you follow me? No, you are following me. We're going to the same places. We have to have a horse together for sure, and we have a Breeders' Cup winner now.
Very good. Jose, again, congratulations so much on such a big day. We look forward to seeing what Shisospicy and Bentornato do next year. Thank you for being our Gainesway Guest of the Week on the TDN Writers Room podcast.
Thank you always. Hope to come with more frequency here.
Yeah, okay. Way to go. Way to go.
Yes.
Guest of the week, Jose D'Angelo, brought to you by Gainesway, home of the legendary Tappet, the sire of runaway Distaff winner Scylla. That win was Tappett's 8th Breeders' Cup victory as a sire, his 3rd Grade 1 score this year. The all-time Breeders' Cup sire standings now go like this. Into Mischief and Dabawi with 9 wins each. They also had winners last weekend, followed by Tappet, Curlin, and More Than Ready with 8 apiece. So Tappet is still delivering now with 107 graded winners, 171 black type winners, and 7 North American champions that could become 8 pending Scylla's Eclipse Award votes. Tappet will stand for $185,000 at Gainesway in 2026. Gainesway, power, passion, performance.
Well, we start segment 3 of our conversation with the Breeders' Cup Sprint, won by Bentornato, win number 2 in a row. Jose D'Angelo didn't have to wait very long to get his second win, 2 races in a row. This was a really good horse. We knew that. I mean, Randy, I know you probably thought this was the best bet of the day. And the horse, I mean, D'Angelo did a great job. Last year, the horse was second in the Breeders' Cup at 28-1. This time you get 8-5. So those who missed out last year were probably licking their chops a little bit, wondering why they couldn't have got the money last year. But this horse was just really, really sharp. Another good training job by D'Angelo. I thought Copian, I guess I could say she was a little bit disappointing, but to run her at 6 furlongs against males was just a little bit too much to ask. And it's interesting, what would their decision have been if they knew Tamara wasn't going to run? I think they probably would have run her in the Filly Mare Sprint, but that's all hypothetical at this point. Second race off a layoff, Jose had this horse ready to go. Bentornato, a Breeders' Cup Sprint winner.
Yeah, and how impressive was he? You know, on Friday, Coolmore had the fillies True Love and Precise, and they wanted to separate them. So they sprinted True Love, even though she, 5 furlongs looked like it might be too short for her. So they wouldn't run her against Precise going a mile. And then Precise was scratched. And there they were wishing that they had run True Love going longer. And now the same thing happens, I think, in a different fashion with Copian and Tamara. Tamara was scratched out of the Filly Mare Sprint, and they probably were left wishing that Copian had run there because she probably would have won it, I think. But Bentornato, I should have just put our whole $100 bankroll and just dumped it all on Bentornato. I mean, it was a 105 buyer, by the way, for Shisospicy, and a 110 career high winning buyer speed figure for Bentornato, who just was much, much the best.
Handsome like his trainer. He looked amazing all week long coming into it. A son of valiant minister who broke his maiden in one start for Hall of Famer Bob Baffert. He stands down there in Florida for Bioma Corp. He's a homebred for them. He stands for $4,000. They paid $170,000 for him. So he's a good-looking son, a valiant minister who will throw a good-looking horse at you. But this, by far, is the best horse he's ever thrown, and I'm excited.
All right, so we move on now to the Breeders' Cup Distaff. This is one of those races. I know the horse paid only $17.20, trained by Bill Mott and everything, but I'm still kind of scratching my head how Scylla won this race. First of all, one thing that had something to do with it is Seismic Beauty. When she didn't break and didn't get to the lead, it was all over for her. I mean, she finished in another area code when they crossed the wire. So that changed the complexion of the race a little bit. But Randy, this horse had never run better than a 97 buyer, gets a 103, so improved 6 buyer points, was 0 for 5 on the year. But, congratulations to Bill Mott. He got her to run the race of her life on the most important race of her life.
Yeah, what's kind of odd about in this situation, Scylla is bred to be a 2-turn horse. She's a daughter of Tappet out of Close Hatches. And Mott, is nobody better at figuring all this out. But Mott had been sprinting her going 7 furlongs. And she'd been running okay. She hadn't been running great, but she'd been running okay against tough competition. He looked at the landscape for the Breeders' Cup. He saw how tough the filly and mare sprint looked like it was going to be with Copion and Hope Road and Tamara. And he decided, the Distaff field maybe looks a little bit vulnerable, so I'm going to try her around 2 turns. So he ran her in the Spinster at Keeneland at 1 1/8 miles. I thought she was set up to be the pace setter that day, but she stumbled leaving the gate. And then they had to go to plan B and sit her a little bit off the pace. And she ran okay. She didn't run that great. So this time she broke very well from the inside. It's the way the racetrack was playing also helped her chances. But look, even if Seismic Beauty had broken well from the starting gate, look, Scylla went 22.27, 45.75, and 110 flat. I mean, how fast was Seismic Beauty going to have to go to clear Scylla and get a clear early lead? It wasn't going to happen. Seismic Beauty had made some very comfortable early leads in her previous 2 races. She was never going to get that in this Breeders' Cup. So even though she would have run better with a better start, I don't think she had any chance given the way Scylla ran and how fast she ran the early fractions. Now, the interesting part, to me, I think it's going to be pretty clear cut. I mean, we know Ted Naffy's going to be champion 2-year-old. Super Corridor is probably going to be almost certainly champion 2-year-old filly. I mean, who else would it be? Bentornato is a lock to be champion sprinter. Scylla, champion older female? Probably so. I mean, what are the alternatives there?
Well, Randy, off one win on the year?
Well, I mean, she'd been running well in other races, and she wins the Breeders' Cup Distaff. I mean, who would you put over Scylla right now? I mean,
it was Horse of the Year last year. You remember her?
You would put really? Okay.
Yes.
I wouldn't.
Okay.
She'll be in the top 3, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It'll be very, very interesting. Listen, it was Seismic Beauty's races. I didn't like her from the get-go. She stumbled leaving there, and it looked like it really pinched her. She had a bad stumble, but regardless of the stumble, she was never getting in front of Scylla. Scylla's headstrong. She was ready to roll. That worked. 46-3. When Neil Posanski came back off working her that fast, he couldn't believe she'd gone that fast. She took to that track like a duck to water. Bill said all along, she's headstrong. You can't get in her way. When she broke like that, they just let her roll. It was a heads-up ride by Alvarado, who's not scared to put his neck on the line when things go like that. He wasn't worried he was going too fast. He just let her do her own thing and rattle along there. I don't care who else was in the race. There was nobody beating Scylla on that day. And I think it was the racing god spoke. They wanted Bill Mott to win a race. He took 2 horses. So then he was down to 1. And they're like, oh, let's just give him the Breeders' Cup Distaff. We like Bill Mott. So There you have it.
Bill, I just pulled up the past performances for Torpedo Anna, and you're probably right. I mean, she wins the Apple Blossom Grade 1. She wins the Personal Ensign Grade 1. She also had Grade 2 wins in the Azeri and the Fleur de Lis.
She's Torpedo Anna.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about her spinster and the fact that she didn't run in the Breeders' Cup, but given the entire body of work, I could totally see where the voters would go for Torpedo Anna over Scylla.
Yeah, if you want to bet a bottle of wine on that.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. So we move now to the Breeders' Cup turf. The Breeders' Cup has provided us with lots of strange stories over the years, but I don't know if it gets more stranger than this. A jumper, Ethical Diamond, wins the Breeders' Cup turf. Now, not purely a jumper. The horse had 14 career starts coming into this, but 7 of them had been over jumps. And Zoe, first win in the Breeders' Cup for young jockey Dylan McGonigal. But I'll start with you here because I'm not following European racing, and particularly not following European jump racing. Tell us the Willie Mullins story, the winning trainer.
Willie is a god. He is an absolute genius, 69 years old. He's conquered everything there is to conquer in Ireland. He's been champion trainer, I don't know how many times. So then the last few years, he's like, well, why don't I see if I can conquer England as well? No problem. Willie Mullins comes over and he wins everything in England. He's been champion trainer in England. So it was his assistant that said, well, they were supposed to take this horse, I believe, to the Melbourne Cup. but he's got a couple of screws in him. And the Melbourne Cup, if you thought Damar's strict, it's even stricter in Australia. And they're like, no, you're not coming over here. So the assistant's like, well, how about we go to the Breeders' Cup? If we run 5th, we'll make 150 grand. What's wrong with that? It's like winning a high-class race over there. So they put him on the plane just hoping to get a check. I mean, at the very best, run 5th. They were probably thinking at 8th or 9th. And he finished down the lane. I don't know what the final quarter he went in, or maybe they were just getting slower. But, oh, my goodness. You want to talk about a race that I don't think I've ever seen. You got Rebels Romance in there. You've got Mini Hawk. They all ran their races. No massive excuses for them. But Ethical Diamond with Dylan McMonagle, who's champion jockey over there in Ireland, on the flat, not over jumps. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And Willie, I'm sure he had a good few bourbons. I think he was drinking one at the presser. He got on the plane right to Australia, had a few more over there. He's a guy that you wouldn't want to sit at a table and try and go toe-to-toe with him having a drink or two. We'll just leave it at that. But terrific trainer, good guy, superb horseman, and the family as well. The grandmother wanting to start a syndicate for her grandchildren so they just don't go to weddings and funerals and see each other. The whole story is just made for a movie. Right, Randy?
Oh, man. I mean, look, Willie Mullins is to jump racing over there what Aidan O'Brien is to Irish thoroughbred racing. I mean, he is that dominant and he is that highly regarded. But even so, yeah. I mean, when he sends Ethical Diamond to the Breeders' Cup turf, the Europeans were primarily shocked that he was only 27-1. They thought that he had about a 100-1 chance to outrun both Mini Hawk and Rebels Romance. And you know what? Willie Mullins did too. I mean, yeah. I read this quote on NBC. I'll read it again. He said, this is pre-race quote from Willie Mullins. He said he's in great shape, but realistically, we don't think we can finish in the first 4. But if we can get 5th, 6th, or 7th, that would be great. And here he comes just absolutely flying on the outside to just run by Rebels Romance like he was standing still. I mean, that was really remarkable.
Isn't it amazing, though, how different it is for Europeans coming over here? Could you imagine Bob Baffert saying, let's go to England and run in the Epsom Derby? Man, if we come 5th, 6th, or 7th, it would be amazing. Like, they just think of it differently. I don't know if it's because the prize money is perhaps a little better over here, but no one in their right mind in America would put a horse on the plane hoping to come 5th, 6th, or 7th in a big race in Europe.
To answer your question, Zoe, I'm looking at the detailed chart right now.
Okay.
And the final quarter mile for Ethical Diamond was 22.87.
Oh my goodness!
At the end of a mile and a half, and a reasonably paced mile and a half. It's not like they went around there in 50 or 51 and then all came flying.
And he was doing it easy, going by a 2-time Breeders' Cup winner in Rebels Romance. I thought Mini Hawk probably is tailed off towards the end of the year because she just, to me, seemed just a tad flat, not quite that arc form that she had. But, oh gosh, what a great race.
And maybe as a gelding, we'll see Rebels Romance again next year. If all goes well, and he'll get another chance to win his 3rd Breeders' Cup race.
You know what we'll see? We'll see 10 horses from Willie Mullins over here for Breeders' Cup next year. This guy's a gelding. He's only 5. He'll be back.
That's a good point.
So let's go now to the Breeders' Cup Classic. Lots of storylines here. I want to go off a little bit on a tangent. I wrote a column for the Thoroughbred Daily News saying that I thought contrary thinking cost Fierceness the race. Now, a couple things that happened before the race. During the running of the race. It was the fact that he got shuffled back early. He got blocked. The great ride by the Japanese rider, Rusi Sayaki. I guess that's probably not anywhere close to how you pronounce it, but I tried my best. But I said, hypothetically, if the rabbit weren't in the race, watch how Fierceness gets out of the gate here. 5 jumps into the race. He's a length in front. I think he would have been loose on the lead. They never would have caught him. So, I totally disagree with Mike Rapoli saying they shouldn't have allowed that horse to run. That's just part of the game. But I think it did have an outcome on the race. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm giving Fierceness too much credit because Forever Young, Randy, ran a hell of a race.
Look, I don't disagree with you. I read a quote somewhere where I think Johnny Velasquez said that he was disadvantaged because the rabbit stopped in front of him. I don't really agree with that because he had Fierceness already sort of slid into the two path, and he nicely went around contrary thinking when the rabbit stopped to a walk. But just given the fact that without contrary thinking in the race, Fierceness probably makes the lead in a slightly slower pace than the race went, you would have had a match race. You would have had Fierceness on the lead in the rail and and Forever Young lapped right outside of him. And it would have been race on at that point to see which one finished the best. But look, Forever Young and Ted Noffey were the only two winners on Breeders' Cup weekend on dirt that didn't run on the rail either some or all of their races. So that, I think, leads me to believe that Forever Young was probably the best horse. I think Fierceness might have been maybe the second best horse. But look, Forever Young, I mean, all credit to him. He was tough as nails. Great ride. I agree with you by Sakai. I didn't say this on the NBC telecast, and I should have, but I thought maybe it was a little too inside baseball. Forever Young now becomes the richest horse to ever race in the United States. Of all the horses that made at least one start in the United States, he vaults to number one with career earnings of $19,358,590. There's a common theme. Ushpa Tesoro is number two, Arrowgate, Thundersnow, Mishrif, and Gunrunner. Nowadays you can't make that list unless you have some success in either the Saudi Cup or the Dubai World Cup. And Forever Young, of course, won the Saudi Cup, was third in the Dubai World Cup, and now he has a classic win on top of that, and he's not finished yet.
Well-deserved by Forever Young. Terrific ride by his jockey. I honestly think it was the jockey that beat Fierceness more than the rabbit, to be perfectly honest. So Forever Young, well-deserved. How about the top three finishes from last year? Come back and run 1, 2, 3 as well. And how good did Sierra Leone run?
Yes.
I mean, he ran super. And how about these two horses? They're related. Their dams are both sisters. And they run 1, 2 once more. It's been a terrific rivalry for both of them. Chaban was very pleased with Sierra Leone's effort. Pratt thought he was going to get there all the way to the wire. All the way to the wire. He thought he was going to just get there just in time. And he just couldn't. Even on the gallop out, Forever Young galloped out. He's going to stay in training. I'm so excited. Yoshito Yahagi is a poster boy for Japanese racing. He's a great guy. He's lots of fun to talk to, him and his interpreter. I don't know if Katie can find the clip of him dancing, but I did see on X a clip of him dancing. He kind of looked like me dancing, no rhythm whatsoever, and he was having a good time. He was pretty hungover on Sunday morning, but he was still there leading his horse out with the flowers on him and showing him off for everyone. Just a big round of applause for Yoshida Yahagi, who's really shown the way for the Japanese horses that come over. They finally won the big one. They don't have to win everything, thank goodness, but they got the classic, and it's well-deserved for bringing this horse. What a horse he is. He's aptly named, and the sire, Real Steel. I mean, that's him, to travel all those miles and just keep coming back and to finally get his big win in the classic was awesome.
Yeah, I was talking to an owner at the airport on Sunday morning, and he happened to be hanging out just by coincidence with the entire Forever Young entourage after the Breeders' Cup at a Mexican restaurant.
Yes.
You would think they would find sushi somewhere or, Din Tai Fung dumplings. I mean, there are plenty of options, but they were at a Mexican restaurant. And they were cheering just as raucously for the Dodgers in Game 7 because of the Japanese players on the Dodgers team as they were Forever Young in the Breeders' Cup Classic. So quite the daily double for the Forever Young entourage on Saturday.
Didn't Yoshito Yahagi kind of say he was glad the Dodgers won, but kind of wished they didn't because it took some of the shine off of Forever Young's win? And quite rightly so.
Yeah. I love his nickname, too, now that he's calling himself Mr. Delmar. Great nickname. Yeah. Well-deserved win for Forever Young. Now, are we all in agreement, though, that Sovereignty is still Horse of the Year?
Yeah.
I say yes.
Sovereignty?
So,
Yeah.
Who's champion older male?
That is a very difficult one. I'd have to dig a little bit deeper. That's one I can't answer off the top of my head.
Well, it's got to be Fierceness or Sierra Leone, right?
Yeah, it's got to be one of those two.
Yeah.
Well, some people vote for Forever Young for champion older male. Yeah.
Maybe.
Off that rule thing that I hate, the one time in the U.S. factor. Don't get me started on that. They need a rule. You have to run twice, at least twice in the U.S. to be eligible for an Eclipse Award. Canada has a rule. No reason why we can't have a rule, because I think Randy agrees with me. It kind of wants my head wants to explode sometimes when people vote for, not that Forever Young isn't a great horse, but don't get me wrong, but he should not be winning an Eclipse Award off one race.
I think it's probably going to go to Fierceness over Sierra Leone. I hate to say it. Honestly. His resume is just a teeny bit better. Mm-hmm. We'll see.
All right. Well, we got a couple more races to wrap up. We'll be right back after this message from the PHBA.
The TDN Writers Room, sponsored by the Pennsylvania Horse Breeders Association, the PHBA. Our focus is always on thoroughbred racing and breeding, but the PHBA also strives to help secure second careers for its equine athletes. As part of that effort, the PHBA provides $8,500 to the annual Retired Racehorse Project's Thoroughbred Makeover, $5,000 of which is awarded to the top finishing Pennsylvania breds from the preliminary round of competition. This year, 15 PA breds competed in the makeover. Miss Pretender and Rachel McMahon took home the special award after finishing fourth in the Show Hunter preliminaries and then going on to make Saturday's finale, where they claimed second place. Fellow Pennsylvania bred Ms. K's Cowgirl finished fourth, and two other PA breds to mention. Flex Warrior, second in Field Hunters, and My Brown-Eyed Girl was fifth in barrel racing. To learn more about the PHBA, go to pabred.com or call Brian Sanfratello at 610-444-1050.
The Pennsylvania breeding program is the best program in the country. The Stallion Awards, the owner bonuses, also the restricted races and the stakes races for Pennsylvania breds. This year, 8 breeders are on track to earn over $200,000 in Breeders' Awards, and 2 could hit the $1 million mark. We have the best program in the country. Take advantage of the fantastic program that we have.
Learn more at pabred.com.
Be a smarter better with First TV, the best horses. With thousands of exclusive morning workouts. All at your fingertips and delivered right into your inbox. Everything you need to be informed. Be smart. Bet smart. With First TV.
It is time for the First TV Work of the Week. The Work of the Week is, of course, brought to you by First TV. Now, every good horse in the country was running last weekend at Del Mar or somewhere across the globe. So it was kind of hard to find a name horse, but we dug deep, or Sue Finley dug deep, to find one who may be an up-and-comer. Let's take a look at Sunna, a wire-to-wire 3.5 length winner of her debut on October the 12th at Gulfstream. She worked a half mile at Palm Meadows in 50.50 on Sunday for her owner breeder Lev Miller and trainer Ken Sweezy. Best of luck to the connections in her very next start.
Breeders' Cup Mile marked a wonderful win by Notable Speech off a win in the Woodbine Mile. Charlie Appleby and Godolphin got their win. You know they weren't going to come away from the Breeders' Cup completely empty-handed. And again, Jerry Bailey has talks about this so much with you, Randy, on the show about how this is how you win turf races.
Yep.
You save every inch of ground, then you make your move in the stretch. William Buick rode the perfect race on this horse. Absolutely perfect race. Never got off the rail for 1 second. And the turn of foot this horse had in the stretch was absolutely explosive. So well done by Notable Speech. And now, see, he should be eligible for an Eclipse Award because he ran in the Woodbine Mile. So he has had 2 starts in North America.
I'll come say hi to you in a minute.
Zoe's busy, so I'll jump in here. Look,
Jump in.
how many times have we seen William Buick and Ryan Moore do this exact thing, in American horse racing over here in the Breeders' Cup and in some other races, right? When they're on the best horses, save ground, they always seem to find a path through. And of course, the horses that they're riding, European turf horses, have such quick turn of foot and quick acceleration that it makes it easier to hit those holes when one develops. And then boom, they're through it and they're gone. And that's exactly what we saw with Notable Speech, who right now, who would be the champion turf male in the United States? Typically, you would look at the Breeders' Cup Turf or things like that. But given the fact that he has run twice in North America, Bill, I would think that Notable Speech might have a leg up on that Eclipse Award.
I would think so, yes.
Yeah. Do you think Charlie Appleby is going to ask for the Woodbine Mile to be held in a turf course next year after they fixed that turf course up there? Because that was an ideal prep for him. It got him used to the sharper turns, and he just accelerated like a true pro.
All right, we move now to the Dirt Mile. Well, first, before we get that, let's talk a little bit about Frankie Dettori. He rode Argene in this race to a 6th place finish. He was shut out over the Breeders' Cup, but now his retirement from U.S. racing is now complete. Though I saw someone had a note that he has a mount next week at Churchill Downs. So I don't know about that, but he's going to ride a little bit next year in South America. And he's saying now, which will be the 8th time he's retired, that his last mount will be in a race called the El Derby in February in Chile. But we certainly enjoyed having him here. He's a great rider, and he makes things fun too. I mean, with his personality and the flying dismount. So it's great to have Frankie Dettori in the U.S. for a couple of years. After he finally does retire for good, he's going to go to work for Ammo Racing, the outfit that spent all that money on the dam of Tadnofi, and is really making headway into racing. But Frankie, thanks for giving us U.S. racing fans a couple of years of something really special to get into. Zoe?
Yeah, I mean, he's been nothing but brilliant, and it's kind of it is a little bit sad that there's been a little bit of backlash on social media about it, purely for the fact he had his farewell tour in England and didn't really retire. And then he came over here and he's been backwards and forwards in retiring. But people tend to forget that he's basically the best jockey the sport has ever seen. And for my mum to know who a jockey is in England, that just shows you how good Frankie Dettori is. I'll never forget the day she called me. She's like, Zoe, do you know this cute little Dettori fellow? I'm like, well, yeah, I know who he is. He just won 7 races at Royal Ascot, and he's just so darling. Can't you marry him? He's amazing. Like, for my mum to have even heard of a jockey is one thing. So, I mean, he's just done wonders for the sport, and I wish him the best of luck.
And he still looks as good on a horse in action in his 50s as he did when he was younger. I think his decision to retire was made easier. And he said he wasn't as sad as he expected to be, but I think it was made easier by the fact that for whatever reason, his business this year in the United States really tailed off, despite the fact that Ron Anderson, the best agent in the business, was booking mounts for him. Not nearly the same success, not nearly as sought after at the upper levels as he was in 2024. So I think that made it a little easier for him to say, I'm going to bow out. I've got this offer from Kia and Ammo Racing. It's the perfect time. And congratulations on an unbelievable career.
All right, we move along now to the Dirt Mile. Once again, one of the big stories here were the scratches. Mystic Dan and White Aberio came out of there. Mystic Dan earlier in the week. White Aberio, as the horse was on the track, and I talked to the owner afterwards, and he says he's just baffled that the horse was absolutely fine. So we haven't really got much of an explanation about what happened to him. This was probably the most exciting race of the Breeders' Cup, especially for Zoe, who hit the exact end here. But what a show put on by the 2 Baffert horses, Nisos and Citizen Bull. They crossed the wire. This was one too close to call. It was a bob of the head. Nisos got the job done. Only paid $340. I know he was big chalk, but I think this was a great training job by Baffert. This horse has been in and out, has been sidelined here and there. And again, he's a type of trainer that can get a horse to run their very best on the biggest day. And he did it with 2 horses, with Citizen Bull as well. We believe Nice House is coming back next year, don't we, Zoe?
I'm not sure. I
Randy,
honestly,
did you know that?
I couldn't tell you.
I think he is, and Bob wants to target the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Okay.
Yeah.
With nice
Citizen Bull is not. Terrific ride by both jocks on both horses. Citizen Bull obviously aided by perhaps an inside bias on that track there because those horses weren't coming back. I thought Nysos was supposed to go by him any second, and he just couldn't get by him. Boy, I bet Bob's glad he opted to run in the dirt mile. This is why you don't second guess the Hall of Famer, because originally he was supposed to run in the Classic, and he's like, I don't think he's ready for that. I'm just going to back him up to the mile. And he wouldn't have cared who won, to be perfectly honest. He was sitting with both owners. He didn't know which way to look. But very, very good indeed. Straight exacta over those two. And it was good to see Citizen Bull go out with such a big race as well.
Agreed.
All right. Go ahead, Randy.
No, agreed on everything's always good.
All right. We move on to the last race of the Breeders' Cup card. That was the Filly and Mayor Turf. Peter Brandt won it. So horse must have been trained by Chad Brown, right? No, not this one. A French-based horse by the name of Gazora, trained by the brilliant French trainer Francis-Henri Graffard. I know Sue Finley will get mad at me for obviously butchering that. But she feels pretty ran really well as well to finish second. This is another one of these Eclipse debates. I think she feels pretty, will likely get the Eclipse Award, but a lot of people will vote for Gazora based on the one race. I don't need to say it again. I don't like that line of thinking, but congratulations to Peter Brandt. And he's got a good filly on his hands, Randy.
Look, to me, she feels pretty ought to be a lock for champion older females. I mean, she didn't quite see out the mile in 3/8, or maybe she did. Maybe Gazora was just a better horse and ran her down because she feels pretty, kicked pretty nicely. Gazora. Francis-Henri Graffard is a real up and coming trainer right now. He may eventually join the ranks in the Breeders' Cup of Aidan O'Brien and Charlie Appleby. He broke Andre Fabre's record this year for most group stakes wins by a French-based trainer. He won the Arc. So, I mean, he had an unbelievable year, and he really, really likes the Breeders' Cup. So I think we certainly haven't seen the last of Graffard. The other thing I would mention is Cinderella's Dream was the beaten favorite. All we heard all week from Charlie Appleby and from others is about how Cinderella's Dream was better than Diamond Rain going into the Filly and Mare Turf at Del Mar, because Cinderella's Dream is this, small, nifty filly that can handle the tight turns. And Diamond Rain is this hulking 1,250-pound beast who was going to struggle going around those, what they call hairpin turns. And lo and behold, it was Diamond Rain who left Cinderella's Dream behind in the final quarter mile to get third. But Gazora, a deserving winner.
Yeah, a well-deserved winner. And Graffard is a terrific trainer. We will see more of him. He had a lot of fun at Del Mar. His whole team had a lot of fun there. And we know Peter Brandt loves to win Breeders' Cups as well. So, while Chad Brown got blanked this Breeders' Cup, Peter Brandt did not. And she was much, much the best in there.
I'm going to go off script here for just a second and touch on one other topic that has to do with the Breeders' Cup and has to do with these last couple of races we're talking about. The Breeders' Cup Challenge series is really making an emphasis on international participation. And they're giving win and you're in berths to South American racehorses who are proving to be completely overmatched when they come over to the Breeders' Cup. This year, it was Sarawak Rim in the Distaff, who ran okay. She ran 7th out of 12, beaten 15 lengths. One Stripe was from South Africa, 13th out of 13. Gran Oriente from Chile, 11th out of 13. Touch of Destiny in the Dirt Mile, 8th of 8, beaten 40 lengths. And in the Filly and Mare Turf, La Kika from Peru was eased and finished 13th out of 13. Now, conceivably, they're knocking some horses out of Breeders' Cup races that are much more deserving and have a much better chance to win. So I think the Breeders' Cup needs to tweak some of this, maybe give conditional Breeders' Cup Challenge win and you're in berths to South American horses, provided they come over to the United States and finish 1, 2, 3 in a graded stakes race. prior to the Breeders' Cup pay their way over here, give them a chance to prove themselves against our graded stakes horses before they get a free berth into the Breeders' Cup. But right now, they have just almost every time, last year, year before, just been woefully overmatched when they run in the Breeders' Cup.
Good point, Randy. Excellent. I have to give that some more thought, but I certainly off the top of my head agree with you. Now, last week we had some fun, and thanks to the TDN, they let us make bets on the Breeders' Cup with a bankroll. Everybody always says it's mythical. I even thought it was going to be mythical. Nope. You guys are the best. We're going to give you real cold, hard cash. How did it come out?
Bill,
Yes?
The only thing mythical in this podcast are bottles of wine that I win from Randy.
So far, it's mythical.
The only mythical thing.
Randy can buy you at least maybe 2 bottles of nice wine because he returned $81. Now, that's with a $100 bankroll. Zoe, you had that good exacta with Nisos over Citizen Bull, returned $154. And I won it all because I had the exacta on the first day of Ted Nafi over Mr. AP, which paid, I think, $37 or so. I returned $224.40.
Well done.
Zoe and Randy, remember to send me your addresses or your Zelle information or something, because the check is in the mail. I'll take care of you guys because I was the one that actually put the bets in. Now, I do need to explain how I came up with my winning wager. If you remember on last week's show, my bet involved Ted Nafi and Blackout Time. So I did not have Mr. AP. When Blackout Time was scratched, I called an audible and I put a wheel. I wheeled Ted Nafi on top, actually threw out Brandt as a wise guy move, thinking that exact is going to pay, $5, $6. So I'm going to try to hit something a little bit more substantial than that.
And by the way, I'm not sending you my Zelle information because I might have got $80, but I bet 100, so I lost 20. I can't in good conscience accept $80 on a loss.
Okay. Well, that's nice of you. Donate it to a charity or something like that. So anyways, before we wrap up today's show, we want to let you know things after the Breeders' Cup get a little quiet. We've got the holidays coming up. So we are getting ready to put together a show made up of viewers' questions. And what you do, send your questions in, and either Zoe, Randy, or myself, or all three of us will answer them. And send your questions to Sue Finley, Finley, the last name, at thetdn.com. Once again, send your questions to Sue Finley at thetdn.com, and we will answer those questions on an upcoming show.
And congratulations to our sponsor, West Point Thoroughbreds, which is celebrating its Juvenile fillies victory with Super Coradora. She becomes the third Breeders' Cup winner for West Point, joining Flightline and Liam Zamap, and the first to score in West Point's familiar gold and black silks worn by Hector Berrios. The daughter of Gunrunner was selected at the 2024 Keeneland September yearling sale by trainer John Sadler and bloodstock advisor David Ngordo, who also picked out Flightline. For more information on becoming a West Point partner, check out www.westpointtb.com.
All the thrills. Fraction of the bills. Experience the power of the partnership. Change your life, make new friends, and compete at the highest level of thoroughbred racing. West Point Thoroughbreds, the gold standard in racing partnerships. Visit westpointtb.com.
That's a wrap on this week's show. I want to thank our Gainesway guest of the week, Jose D'Angelo, my partners, Randy Moss and Zoe Cadman, and our producers and directors, Zoe with a great... Are you getting a little tipsy drinking that thing?
I know. I'm going to go look at some more mares and wheelings right now after this hot toddy. It's fabulous.
I think it takes a lot more than one hot toddy to get Zoe a little,
I don't know. This
wobbly.
is pretty strong. It's pretty strong, Randy.
All right. Once
Might
again,
put
Randy...
hairs on your head.
I need a lot more than that.
Our producers and directors, Sue Finley, Katie Petruniak, Anthony LaRocca, and Leah LaRocca. Hope everybody enjoyed the Breeders' Cup. We'll be back soon. Thanks again for watching the TDN Writers Room podcast presented by Keeneland.